What is going on, Nintendos? My name is Captain Alex and you are watching NintenDIY, the show in which I teach you how to make your very own super cool Nintendo themed projects right at home. On today's episode, I'm going to be showing you how to make your very own custom collectible Nintendo Switch Steelbook game cartridge cases. I'm about to show you everything you need and everything you need to know to complete this project, so let's get started. Alright guys, so just a real quick tutorial here on how to make your own Steelbook artwork. I'm not going to go through a full graphics design tutorial, just give you the basic tips and tricks on what you need to make your Steelbook artwork size. So first thing you're going to need is some kind of Photoshop-like program. I'm going to be using Photoshop CC 2019, but anything with some pretty basic editing capabilities will work for this tutorial. So whatever program you use, you're going to make a new file that's going to be 4.15 inches wide by 6.75 inches tall. That will give you the perfect size for your Steelbook artwork. Beyond that, all you've got to do is just design your graphic from there on out. So I've already had mine designed here, so I'm going to be making a Travis Strikes Again No More Heroes Steelbook because Travis Touchdown deserves his own Steelbook, so I'm going to give him one. So I've got this artwork designed. I'm also going to be using some artwork for the backside, so I've got that one over here. So both of those are fully designed, and then I'm also going to be using some interior images. So I've got Travis right here, and the villain Badman I've got over here. So both of those, all four of those images are what's going to be on my front, back, and then two interior images on either side. The next thing you want to do is you want to download this A4 template that I've made for you guys. Very simple. It's just got two cutouts where you're going to put your artwork. So you can just drag and drop your artwork, the front cover right here, onto this layer. And then you want to rotate it 90 degrees to make sure that it fits. And as long as your artwork fits within this template, you know it is the right size. So do that, and we'll drag our other one in here as well. Same thing, rotate it 90 degrees and make sure that fits right there. So just like that, you can see both of those fit there. We can turn off our black layer mask, and then we can print it just like that. We'll know that they're gonna be the perfect size and proportional. So we'll print that, same thing, we'll go ahead and turn those off, turn the layer mask on again, throw our Badman artwork in there, rotate him 90 degrees, make sure he fits into our template, which he does, and then do the same thing with Travis real quick, and make sure he fits, just to verify that everything is the proper size before we go ahead and print it out on our decal paper. And good, just like that, they all fit in their template. So the reason we want to do this is because we are using A4 paper, so it's not standard paper size. So we can't just use an 8.5 by 11 type of paper. It's a little bit bigger, so we want to make sure that everything is the correct proportions before we print it out. So once you verify that everything is correct, you've got your A4 paper set up, just go ahead and print them out, and we'll get to assembling. Alright, so when it comes to making our Steelbook, obviously the first thing we're going to need is a Nintendo Switch Steelbook to start with. So for this tutorial, I'm going to be using a LEGO DC Supervillains Steelbook. It's got Harley Quinn on it. I don't own this game. I do not need a Steelbook for this game. I found this one on eBay for 10 bucks, which was a great deal. Unfortunately, what I didn't realize is it's actually embossed, so Harley Quinn's face is a little bit raised right there. So that's going to make it a little bit more difficult for this tutorial. So if you could find one that is completely flat, like the Super Smash Bros. Official Steelbook, that will be a much, much better option. But any Nintendo Steelbook will do, and we'll make this one work as well. So aside from that, you're going to need to get some A4 water slide decal paper, which looks just like this. It's just paper that you print on, and then it comes off in water, and then the adhesive will stick to whatever surface you put it on. So it's actually really great. This one's made by Hayes Paper Co. I'll put a link in the description so you know exactly what you need to buy to make this tutorial just like mine. All the instructions for this decal paper are on here. It's a little bit hard to see with the light shining on it, so I'm not going to go through all the instructions, but I will show you briefly how to apply this when we get to that part of the tutorial. Now make sure when you're looking for this decal paper, there comes in 2 types. This one is the clear version. There is also a white version. So if you're gonna print something and you need it to be a solid color, so any of the whites that I print out are actually gonna be see-through. So if you need to print white onto your design, make sure you get the white paper. But for the Steelbooks, I like to use the clear because it gives it that translucent effect on the white parts. Now that you've got your decal paper, you're going to need to print out your design that we did in the previous step. So here is our printed design. Now the instructions on the decal paper itself tells you that you need to clear coat this. So this has already been sprayed a few times with some acrylic clear coat, and it's now dry, and that will make sure that the ink stays on the decal paper. Then you're finally, last but not least, you're just gonna need some kind of little tool that you're going to be using in order to open up and take apart your Steelbook. Now this is just, it's made by Tecton. It came with a cell phone repair kit that I own, but really anything, if you have a butter knife, if you have a pocket knife, something like that, just be very careful if you're gonna be using something sharp, and you're gonna wanna be careful with the Steelbook anyway because you don't wanna dent it, but I'll show you how to take it apart in just a moment. So that's everything you are going to need, aside from some basic necessities like this isn't a requirement, but I'm going to be using this to cut the corners of my images so that the corners are rounded on my Steelbook and they don't overhang. This is the same tool that I used for my Amiibo card tutorial in the first episode of NintenDIY. So if you've used this, you might still have it on hand. You'll also need scissors. Any type of scissors will do, obviously, and a paper cutter. Again, a paper cutter is not a necessity. It is a total option if you want perfectly straight lines. I recommend a paper cutter. Otherwise, go ahead and use scissors if that's all you got. So that is it. So let's go ahead and get started by taking apart our Steelbook. So what we're gonna do is, it's a pretty simple process. All we're gonna do is open up our Steelbook. And again, we just wanna be very careful because this is just tin. It's not actually steel. And if it is steel, it's a very, very thin piece of steel. But we just wanna take our tool and go in between the plastic and the Steelbook and just get right in there just like that. And we'll go all the way around the edges until the plastic casing pops out, just like that. All right, so again, just be careful because this is very easy to dent. So be very, very careful with this. All right, so there we have it. We have our 2 pieces. We've got our front and we've got our back. Now, I didn't list it before in the requirements, but you will need a can of silver spray paint and a can of white primer spray paint. So we're gonna go ahead and paint these in a white primer and then cover them in a metallic silver paint, and that'll give us a nice shine. And we'll go ahead and do that right now. All right, so as you can see, we've got our spray painted Steelbooks here. We've got our back cover and our front cover here. And as you can see, we've got the Lego Harley Quinn face embossed in there, which is pretty unfortunate. My hope is that when we put the water slide decal over it, it'll pretty much get covered up and we won't notice it too much. But because it is there, I'm going to make this the back cover and I'm gonna make this the front cover. So I'm basically just gonna put this upside down like that. That'll become the back. And this one upside down as well will become the front. Because we've taken it apart, we can pretty much do whatever we want. And if I just put the decal right side up and upside down on this one technically, then we'll have a reverse cover. So if you get a Harley Quinn, if you have a DC Supervillains one, you get some kind of case that has an embossing on it, this is a good way to do it. Hopefully it'll get covered up, but I'm gonna make that the back cover just in case it is visible. It'll look good from the front at least. So now that these are spray painted, what we're gonna need to do is we're gonna need to cut apart our water slide decal paper into the proper parts, and we'll go ahead and do that right now. So go ahead and grab your paper cutter and then grab the water slide decals that you have printed out and go ahead and cut them down to the proper size. All right, so there we have our two designs. Again, they're reflective now because they've got a glossy clear coat on them, so it's a little hard to see in the light. But there we have our two designs. This is gonna be my front design and this is gonna be my back design. Another thing I did when I was designing these is I made the back design pretty busy because I knew Harlequin was going to be embossed on there. So I'm hoping with all these colors and all these different shapes and textures on here, I will be able to pretty much mask Harlequin's embossing. Yeah, that's another thing I just took into account. So this one's gonna be on the front. There's nothing going on the front, so this will work perfectly. All these gray areas will pretty much be translucent silver. And then I made this one super busy and colorful to hopefully cover up Harlequin's face. So we're gonna put those to the side for now, and we're gonna take the rest of our decals and we're gonna use our scissors to cut them out. So these are gonna be the guys on the inside, so we're just gonna cut them down to size. Get out as much excess as you can, because anything that's left over will be part of the decal. All right, so there we got all of our pieces. We've got our two covers, our front cover, our back cover, and then on the inside, we're gonna have Travis Touchdown on the left side and Bad Man on the right side. So now the next thing you've gotta do is this is water slide decal paper. Now there's a reason it's called water slide decals, because we've gotta actually submerge these in water. This decal will slide off the paper and it'll be a super thin adhesive backing on it that we're just gonna slide right onto the Steelbook. So now, next thing you gotta do is grab a towel, grab something to put down just so you don't splash water everywhere. So I'm gonna cover my workstation in a towel. I'm gonna grab some water and a plate, and we're gonna submerge these and get to making the Steelbook. All right, so we've got our workstation set up. We've got some water here on a plate. It's just a tiny bit, you don't need much, just enough to get the decal paper damp enough so that the decal comes off the back of there. One thing I forgot to do in the last step was I just wanna cut the corners of these decals so that they are rounded when we put them on the Steelbook, because as you can see, Steelbook corners are rounded. So we're gonna take our rounding tool and just clip those corners real quick. All right, so there we have it. We've got our cover art and it's got some nice rounded corners on there. So all we're gonna do is take it, submerge it in the water for about 30 seconds, and then peel that decal off and put it right onto our Steelbook. So here we go. All right, so that should be mostly good enough. There we go, look at that. If you just start pushing it very slowly, that decal comes right off. So we're just gonna put it right at the top and slowly peel it off. Be careful, you don't want this to wrinkle or tear. This is very, very thin. So just be extremely careful in where you place it. There we go, that's right at the top. So I'm just gonna slowly peel this out from under it now. There we go. Now we're just gonna move it over a little bit so that it's centered properly. And then we just wanna take an edge of our towel and just use it to kind of squeeze out some of that water. Nice and slow. Now the decal's gonna shift a little bit. It's super slippery at this point because it has a lot of water under there, and the adhesive actually takes 3 hours to dry. So we're just going to very, very slowly just try to get as much water out as we can with our towel. Just be very careful to squeegee it. All right, so there we have it. Now this has 3 hours, like I said, to dry. So we're gonna put this to the side. We're gonna let it dry for 3 hours before we finish assembling it. We will do the inside in just a moment, but yeah, try your best not to touch this decal while it is drying. Again, like I said, it tears very, very easily. If you see it drying and you still see some wrinkles in it, go ahead at that point while it's drying, just go ahead and try to smooth it out over the course of the next few hours while it dries. These wrinkles are partially caused by water bubbles. So as the water starts to dry underneath, you'll want to smooth out those wrinkles so that they go away, and it'll just get better and better over time once that's dry. You can put it on under a fan, which is what I do. I'll go ahead and put this under a fan once we're done filming, and that'll help dry it a little bit quicker. So we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing with the back and the interior now. All right, so all of our decals are now applied. We've got our front cover, Travis Strikes Again, Travis versus Badman, and on the inside, we've got Travis himself. And then on the back cover, we've got the full cover art from the official cover, and then on the inside, we've got Badman. Now, obviously on the inside, you can see that embossed Harley Quinn, unfortunately, from the original Steelbook. But on the front side, it's a little bit more difficult. We've got a lot of colors going on, obviously under certain lights, and if you run your finger over it, you can see that, but you can definitely overlook that. But again, if you find a perfectly flat Steelbook, it's going to look fantastic, just like the front cover, like that. So we're gonna go ahead and let these dry, and then we'll get back to assembling the full Steelbook. Okay, so once you have your Steelbooks completely dry, it's been about 3 hours now. The decals are completely dry on my custom Steelbooks. So now we're just gonna assemble it, and this part's really easy. All you gotta do is grab your plastic case once again, and we will start with the front. So go ahead and open that case up, flip your Steelbook over, and just carefully snap it back into the shell. Just like that. Make sure you go all around all the edges, make sure it's really in there. And then same thing, take the back of your case now, do the exact same thing on that side. Just snap that right into place. And we can close it up. Make sure it's really snapped in there. Perfect, edges are good. Everything is perfectly set in there. And there you have it, guys, the custom Travis Strikes Again No More Heroes Steelbook. So we've got Travis vs. Badman on the front right there, looking so awesome on steel. We flip it over, and we've got our full color Travis Strikes Again art. And then if we flip it, if we go ahead and open it up, got Travis on the left side there, and Badman on the right. And that is how you make your very own custom Nintendo Switch Steelbook. All right, guys, there you go. You now have the skills to make your very own custom Nintendo Switch Steelbook. Your powers have been leveled up, and you are well on your way to creating this fantastic new project. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of NintenDIY, and I will see you all next time.